Listen to the greenhouse before I get mad, pussy.
All right, guys. Welcome to another rendition of At the Buzzer. I am your host, Andre, of course, representing Greenhouse Post Sports. So this week we actually have a great matchup. So we have two contestants who are going up against two of the Greenhouse members. Um, so I'm ready to see who got it in them. Who gonna take the house, man? Who gonna do it? I'm
Let's
ready
get it.
to
Let's
see.
get it. They're gonna be over here.
So how's
Coming back.
everybody doing today, man? How's everybody feeling?
Chilling.
Another day and another beautiful greenhouse Tuesday, right?
Oh yeah.
Blessed. Boys are happy to be here. Thanks for letting me join.
Of course, no doubt about it. So basically, guys, I'm gonna go over some of the rules. So the first rule that I do want to bring up is gonna be interruptions. So we do want to give everybody the respect while they're speaking. So if you do interrupt, you're gonna get a warning the first time. Continuous interruptions, you will get points deducted from your total. Second rule, we want you guys to watch your time. Be very, very cautious about what you're saying as well. We don't want to degrade anyone or bash anybody. No, we do want to stay respectful. So if there's anything that's going on in somebody's personal life, let's leave it in their home. Do it that way. Let's be respectful. Other than that, it's fair game. You guys ready to get into it?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's start with the first segment. So since we have the winner of last week, Brian, I do want to give you the respect because you're a Giants fan as well. So I'm gonna start off with you. You're gonna go first for the first segment for tip off. So I do want to say to the new guys, you're gonna have a chance, but you guys are gonna be going last. So we're gonna have the winners first, and then we're gonna alternate going into the next round. So for our first question, which is for Brian, is how do you feel about the Steelers going undefeated so far?
They balling, bro. I'm gonna keep it real. 100%. They balling. I've thought that fluky. They played fluky. I feel like they played like they weren't taking the Cowboys serious that game, but they're balling. Their defense, it might be one of the best defenses I've seen since the Seahawks back in I think it was 2013, 14. They got it all from. I know they lost Devin Bush for the whole season, but they got it all from D line to linebackers to corners to safeties, special teams. They got it all, and I think they're legitimately like a contender to compete with the Chiefs and give them a go. Because the Ravens ain't gonna compete this year. We saw what happened past 2 weeks. They struggled against the Colts, and if it wasn't for that bogus intel they called the Marcus Peters, that was intel. And you saw what happened last Sunday night against the Pats. They struggled badly. So I think the Steelers are really a contender, and I think they're legit. If Big Ben could keep it up, because one bad hit, and Mason Rudolph time.
Hey, it is true. So next we're gonna give Nate a chance to go. Nate.
Yeah. So to your point, I mean, I would say to Brian's point as well that the Steelers look good. I mean, they are who we thought they were, right? This time last year, what was the kind of question that we had for them? We thought that their quarterback play was significantly weak. So that was the issue, and their record kind of showed that. In addition, as we know with Mike Tomlin's teams, I mean, he's never coached a team that's went lower than 8-8. So he's always going to have those guys ready to play. Historically, Pittsburgh's defense has always been their strong suit. The underrated addition of Minka Fitzpatrick in that trade, people thought it was kind of a little bit weird, a little crazy, but that was a huge pickup. So that kind of adds to that dominant secondary with the Ryan Clarks of the world, Troy Polamalu's of the world, insert Minka Fitzpatrick's name, as well as Devin Bush, although he's out. But I mean, he's another slide addition into their an early draft pick that they got. And then lastly, let's give credit to the defensive line. Dupree, TJ Watt, those guys are balling, and to win games in the NFL, we know that historically it's all about the offense and defensive line. So they're doing their thing, and I expect them not to stay undefeated. But I mean, they look as the Steelers supposed to look.
Okay. Greg, we're gonna go to you now.
Okay. So I'm actually gonna piggyback off of that last statement where you said they're not gonna go undefeated. I absolutely agree. I don't think they're gonna beat it either. But I will say I think their biggest key to their success right now is the way that their offense has been able to mesh so well, and especially with the younger core, especially with Chase Claypool. He was able to come right in and just like almost, let me not, over talk here, but almost be that replacement for Antonio Brown. And then on the defensive side as well, yes, they are playing magnificent right now. Like you said, almost as good as the Seahawks defense. I don't think as good, but I definitely think close to it. Yeah.
All right. Then we're gonna go over to my man's Kyrie, aka Byrie.
Hey man, all my Dragon Ball Z fans out there, bro. Steelers ain't even hit their final form yet. That's crazy. Like still being 9-0, haven't played their best, but I mean they really just, be able to play complementary ball. To be able to have, one of the best defenses in the league. In my opinion, the deepest receiving core in the league. I mean, your fourth receiver is James Washington. You got Eric Ebron and the offensive line, like Nate was saying, the offensive line and defensive lines are both great. So, to see them playing as well as they are, I don't think anybody's surprised. I mean, just think about what they did this weekend. I heard that, when they locked up Cincy and Joe Burrow, they went 0 for 13 on third down. I'm like, man, that don't even make sense. So, I think the Steelers, obviously they, what they put together so far has been great. But crazy thing is, I don't even know if they're the best team in the AFC, but record-wise, obviously it says it.
Okay, that was good. Everybody, on one accord for the most part. I guess we're all believers of the Steelers here. Even though it might not be our team, but I feel like we all have that respect for that culture and the franchise over there in Pittsburgh, knowing that they're gonna show up and compete every week. They're gonna ball out regardless. They don't care where they at, where they gotta travel to. They're gonna ball. So going into the next question for you guys, and then of course we're gonna alternate with Byrie going first. And this is a question going towards the NBA now. Being that they all agreed to the start at December 22nd, how do we feel about some of the teams who've had that break not going into the bubble, who haven't played for maybe over 6 months? How do we feel about the fairness of the teams such as Miami, who just took a hard loss out of the finals with a 2-month break and has to go right back at his grind mode once more?
Yeah, man, it's honestly, it's a catch-22 because you got, those teams that just played, I think it was 71 days off. It'll end up being by the time December 22nd comes. I mean, they said it's the shortest offseason in league history, in any major pro league history. So that's obviously not great. But at the same time, yeah, you got those teams that didn't make it down to the bubble that haven't played since March. So it's like, what's it really gonna, where can you really meet in the middle? And I think they really did the best thing they could, because at the end of the day, I think money was the biggest factor, and they're gonna lose a lot of money regardless. Not a lot of places are gonna have fans, so to be able to get back in there as soon as possible, you can spread things out a little bit more having a 72 game season, whereas you're not on top of each other as much with 82 games. And then also, too, I think having the 72 games is nice because you can also, okay, let's say, hey, this game gets postponed, that game gets moved back. Like, now it gives you more wiggle room to, get the schedule adjusted from there. So I think it wasn't ideal, but for what they had to handle, I think they did the best they could.
Okay, and we're going to go over to Greg.
My expectations are a little different just because I feel like these are athletes and they're professional athletes at that. So regardless of a shorter off season or not, it's their responsibility to make sure that their bodies are in shape for whatever. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, you know, you're not gonna prepare for just one season. You're preparing to play multiple seasons already. So why stop that because of what's going on now? You still have your own, you know, means of doing what you gotta do. So I don't think it's ideal for sure. I think if they have more time, it definitely is beneficial because a shorter time period could cause more injuries. But you know that comes with the sport, that comes with the game. So they kind of already got to expect that.
Okay, now we're gonna go over to Nate.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to agree there with Greg. Disagree a little bit there with you, Kyrie. Just simple notion. I mean, like to Greg's point, I mean they're professional. I mean they get paid millions of dollars to do this. So you know, they go into it with the understanding that, you know, they have to be ready for the responsibility to call action, you know, similar to just how, you know, when we sign up for our day jobs, you know, when we do, you know, we sign up to be, you know, ready to be working at any time that the business may need, right? Correct. So, you know, from that perspective, I mean, I think those guys need to be ready. And now is it tough? Now is it tough for the Miamis of the world, the Lakers of the world? Absolutely. I mean, they just went very long down, you know, in this bubble, especially being away from family and all that stuff. But nevertheless, I mean, you know, other guys need to be ready. So, you know, your backup guys need to be ready. The veterans that they sign or young guys that they sign, everybody needs to be ready. Most teams got G Leagues now. So, you know, implore those. Most guys now play 66 games, Kawhi Leonard of the world. So like this for them, you know, will be added rest. So I hope that they have it together and be ready to play.
Can I offer my rebuttal?
Let's get Brian in there real quick.
Okay.
Let's get Brian in there real quick.
I think they should have waited. I'm gonna keep it 100. They should have waited till like January because I think it's gonna affect the vets, like the older players, and then the rookies that are about to get drafted tomorrow. Because they got how long? Well, tomorrow's the 18th, and then they got a little over a month to get ready and get that chemistry going with their team. They're gonna get picked up by, and then the vets. You know how 82 game season, like LeBron, he played every about 100 something games each year for the past 10 years or 90 something games. And that takes a toll on someone's body. So people like that, they've been to playoffs every year. And this bubble, like the teams like the Knicks and the Hornets, yeah, they're going to be all right. But the Warriors are going to they might just come out swinging because they're going to have a lot of time off. But teams like the Lakers and the Heat, they're going to be a little fatigued and might get off to a slow start. And that's not going to be beneficial to them.
Okay. Kyrie, you could jump in there with your rebuttal.
So yeah, and piggybacking off of what Brian said, you know, just think about the timeline like this. You know, you got obviously the Lakers and the Heat, you know, playing in the finals, but even like the Celtics and Raptors who made deep runs, and some of those other teams, the Nuggets, the Clippers. Like, okay, you finished the bubble, whether it's September, October, you know, you get this rest period November. You start this next coming season December. That ends in July, and then you got to turn back around. And there's the Olympics for some of those guys. Then the next season after that, which I'm sure they're going to try to get back on some sort of normal timeline. So, I mean, think about that. I get it. They are professionals. They are pros. You got to get ready so you can stay ready. But at the same time, too, you know, they are humans. You know, we can't expect these guys to be putting out the best output if they're worn down. So, I mean, I get it 100%. I do want to see them back. Of course, I love watching hoops. So, you know, but the best quality product may not be really on the floor until, I don't know, January, February, maybe even later.
Okay. Anybody else with a rebuttal?
I'll go ahead. So to that point, I mean, and then to me, I feel like almost now it's not even on the players really. It's on the coaching and the training staff and everybody else, because now everybody has to work hand in hand in making sure all the players are ready. So to me, honestly, the pressure is on the head coach because, like you said, those older players could get worn down faster and everything like that. But then comes the aspect of time management. How do you manage your players' time? How do you get the most productivity out of each player that you have instead of utilizing your starting 5 or your starting 6 or 7, however many players? every game. You know, you got more people to depend on now, more people you can draft rather than just depending on those players. And that gives them a chance to shine more than anything in my eyes.
Okay. I like it. Well, it's gonna heat up. I can feel it. I can feel it. It's gonna be a great episode. I like it. So we're gonna have one more question for tip off. So I kind of want to lean into baseball a little bit, and kind of get into the culture aspect of sports. With the Dodgers winning the World Series, I kind of, I felt some kind of way with it, being that Mookie Betts was the only African American or minority on the baseball field for either team. But then it did give me motivation and hope to know that there's always going to be somebody out there representing people who look like us, and people who are coming from situations like us. So what I want to know from you guys is how impactful do you think just seeing a guy like that try his all, being traded from the Boston Red Sox, winning a championship over there, then coming over to LA, over to the West Coast, and still making an impact as a veteran and making things happen. And then for that, we're gonna start off with Brian.
I feel like it gives a lot of hope to like people watching. And then you had Randy Rosarina on the other team too. Like they
Correct.
said, I heard when I was watching the World Series, they said he like just came from Cuba like 2 years ago, and he was living off like $100 a month. He was eating rice and chicken every day because that's all he knew how to cook, and that's what he learned. And he was just learning day by day like how to like the American way basically. So I feel like it's inspiring, and it gives a lot of hope to everybody watching. But it was a very white World Series. Like no teams had any type of like Kike Hernandez. I think he's half Mexican, but like either way, the Tampa Bay Rays majority white, and then the Dodgers majority white. Even Kenley Jansen, one player in the bullpen, but it was tough to watch. I didn't really watch it that much, but it is inspiring. I think to everybody that was watching as younger and the youth.
Okay, I'm gonna go over to Nate.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely tough when you ideally don't have representation, right? In any industry, especially, we're talking about baseball here, but I would say that maybe that goes to maybe a macro perspective, right? That many times in our communities, we're not exposed to these other type of sports. So, baseball of the world, hockey of the world, if we're looking at the four major sports, right? Hockey being relatively expensive to play. Baseball, more or less, you need a lot of number of people in order to do it versus like, maybe football. Football, you need an extremely large number of people to do it, but rather like basketball, for example, where you can just take a ball and go to a hoop and then you can play, or soccer or something of the nature. But it's just all about the optics of baseball. I think baseball is quote unquote America's pastime. So, based upon America's pastime, is majority white. So I don't, it doesn't really surprise me. I know there's a huge Latino influence. So, I mean, that's always good, especially from the Dominican Republic. So that kind of looks like us in some totality. But I just think, it has to be generational stars like Mookie Betts of the world, and others like him. The gentleman out there in San Diego, Tatis, he also guys like that. Once you start putting those guys on, I mean, I think that's going to really change the narrative and change the sport, push the sport forward.
Okay, then we're gonna go over to Greg.
All right. So being a baseball player pretty much my whole life, I think it should have been a bigger deal than it was, and definitely should have shined a light specifically on him a lot more than what they did. Not to say that they didn't enough, but but it's definitely big, and he's not the first. So I there's definitely been inspirations before him, and even more now. But the fact that he made it to the biggest stage after being traded, which I didn't understand myself, was big. But and where I played when I was younger, it was all black kids. All of us were. It was just all black kids. Like barely a few Latinos and white people here and there. And so seeing that is just like reminder, like all the kids that I grew up with, all the kids that I played with and played against, like all of us we can be in that position too. So I think it's a big inspiration. It should be to kids that are playing now and looking to play in the future.
Okay, we'll go over to Kyrie.
Yeah, I know Nate said, baseball, everybody looks at it or considers it America's pastime. But at this point now, it's almost like it's past its prime because of this, this piece here. And I just feel like, especially just knowing the history of baseball and, baseball's had, almost as ugly of a history as football has at times, and football's a much more violent sport. And, let's be honest, it's historically been a much more white sport. And yes, we've seen the influx of the Hispanic and Latin American players, and I love to see it because a lot of them do look like us. I mean, hey, you can't tell me Vlad Guerrero's not black. Just seeing him and seeing a lot of those dudes, but especially when it comes to Mookie, my answer is kind of cheating because I actually got to cover the Rays earlier this year, but to see them. And then to see them get to the World Series, I was like, yeah, I'd like to see them win. But then I'm like, nah, man, I'd love to see Mookie, come in, really be the finishing touch on one of the greatest teams we've probably ever seen. Just knowing how, all the Hall of Famers, MVPs on the Dodgers team this past year. So, but I do think that, to see guys like him continuing still to make waves, even though there aren't a ton of black guys in the MLB, guys like him will still always surface. And like you were saying, like you guys all have said, I think it's inspirational for the youth because, it is a sport that you almost wish that, that the black community would embrace it a little bit more, because I feel like if black kids really did get behind it, they could thrive with it just like any other sport.
True indeed. I kind of want to jump in here a little bit as well. Kind of, going with the same sentiment that Kyrie was saying, that I do wish kind of the youth or the kids under us kind of look at baseball as another sport that actually makes you think of it or compare it to tennis, or even if you want to say something like chess. Baseball is a thinking man's game. But every sport is a thinking man's game or a thinking woman's game. Even softball, we don't see a lot of, African American or a lot of Latino women playing in these colleges or going further and further outside of middle school or high school and elevating their game to the point where they can say, I'm one of the best in the world. It's not always about, the colorism, I can say, in the sport, but it's just about fair representation of being great. Let's have everyone have a chance to be great in their own right. But with, like you said, it's America's pastime, and America's pastime, it was not great. So I do appreciate everybody's point of view on that. Very truthful and very honest. The reason why I asked you guys that question is because I do want to, try to motivate the youth to get into other sports. It doesn't always have to be basketball. It doesn't always have to be football or soccer. It can be hockey, like Nate said. I know that sport is also expensive as well, but it can be tennis. It can be cricket. It can be these other sports that people can get involved in and just show that they can be great in their own right. So that was the tip-off segment. We're going to jump into our second one, which is basically our buy or sell. Gatorade or water. So with this, Kyrie, you're up first. How is it Gatorade or water? How do you feel about James Harden wanting to go to the Nets as his only option?
Man, I got so many thoughts on this because I just feel like, you see the headline, you're like, wait a minute. James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant. Like, if that happened, it's going to get spooky for the East, obviously. But like when I really, thought and simmered on it a little bit, I'm like, I don't know how it could work for a couple of reasons. Because I know the Nets would have to gut their roster to send guys back to Houston in return. So you're probably giving up LeVert, probably giving up Jared Allen, probably giving up Dinwiddie, maybe Joe Harris at that point. Who knows? And then you got to think too, like, James Harden, he's been a guy, obviously, that, he stays in great shape and he's always physically been able to hold up. But KD and Kyrie are both coming off an injury-plagued season. So it's almost like I understand it. I really do think that, those three being together, I mean, I don't know if anybody could check any three of them on the same court together. But at the same time, too, the injury stuff, Kyrie gonna want the ball. You already know KD's gonna have to get the pill just cause off of respect alone. And Harden, obviously he can play off the ball, but I mean that's not what he's done in Houston the last handful of years, ever since he got traded from OKC. So the last thing too is defensively, man. Like Kyrie not checking nobody, James Harden not checking nobody. KD, yeah, he can check people, but like he's not locking up like how he used to. I mean, coming off an Achilles injury, I think he's got to focus primarily on offense and, the amount of defensive pressure you can take off of him, do that. Let him eat offensively because we know he's best scorer damn near ever. In my opinion, he's the best scorer of all time. But I don't know. I think it sound good. 2K, it sound like a 2K trade or something, but I don't know. I don't know if it's as realistic as everybody thinks it is.
Okay. Then we're gonna go over to Greg.
Yeah, I get your point. He's saying, you don't think everybody's gonna be what they expect, but I kind of think the opposite. Sometimes it's the most unexpected things that happens that creates something that we don't expect and that could work for that team. And we don't know that could happen. That may not happen. But me personally, I've never been a fan of teams with more than 2 or 3 stars on it, because it's just a clash of egos and who wants the ball more, and it's more bickering and fighting for time than it is actually playing as a team.
Mm-hmm.
It works in some cases for like the Warriors, for example. They go and get a bunch of just all-stars and just take over the league for years, and then now it's all kind of just like so now they're kind of hitting that mark where it's like, okay, well, what do we do now? We've exhausted all of our options with who we have. Now what do we got to do to fix it again? So that's my downfall with that. But it's really just a matter of how the team meshes and how the coach kind of creates that environment, or what environment is created amongst the players themselves within the locker room.
Okay. We're gonna jump over to Nate.
Yeah, I mean, pretty simple. I mean, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. I mean, I'm buying that. I'm taking the Gatorade all day on that. If Kevin Durant's, let's say, 85% of himself too. I mean, that's an easy, still a 50, 40, 90 guy, right? Let's not act like that. So he's still averaging upwards of 28, 30 points a game, or downfall 25, right? James Harden is the as a lot of people in the league call him, the best offensive player to play. I would have to say he's probably our modern day Tracy McGrady, maybe even a little better because he's a little bit more durable. So even from that perspective alone, those two together, it would be crazy. Now the outlier would be Kyrie Irving. We saw he forced his way out of Cleveland and Cleveland. They want to play with LeBron. They're hearing reports out there that he doesn't really want to play with, doesn't want James Harden to come through down to Brooklyn. If that even happens, it could be interesting. But I think the combination of those three, especially on the offensive side of the ball, defensively they'll figure it out. But offensive side of the ball, I think who's really gonna score with them. It'd be almost like when we saw the Warriors run when it goes on the spurts with Steph Curry and Splash Brothers and Klay Thompson go on and just hit 4 or 5 threes consecutively, each one tit for tat. And it's kind of like, what do you do? So I think those two together would be crazy, and especially a weaker Eastern Conference. And then, go to the finals and it'd be a slugger knocker. So we'll see what happens. So, but we'll see if that even goes to fruition.
True indeed. We're gonna go over to Brian.
Nets fan. So I'm a Nets fan. So I'm selling. I don't want this to happen. I'm getting reminiscence of the KG to Boston trade, the Paul Pierce, because I'm hearing Karras, Jarrett, and Dinwiddie, and then like 3-4 first-round picks. That's just for one guy. And I don't want everything that happened with Boston to happen all over again. But if it does happen, it's gonna work. I don't doubt that it's gonna work, but we have homegrown guys like Karras, we drafted him. Jarrett, we drafted him. Dinwiddie, we got him for the Pistons, but he wasn't Dinwiddie over there. He was in our G League, he grinded, and now look at him. I think the team is good as it is right now. We didn't play well with Kyrie last year, but when he was on the court, he was Kyrie. We're a gritty team. So we played with when D Russ was there. You take away D Russ and add Kyrie, I don't think that's gonna be a problem. Last year was just the first year, so I think there'll be some growing pains when KD gets back, but not a lot of growing pains. But I'm selling it. That's too much for Harden. I don't doubt that it will work, but we're giving up too much. We won't have a bench if he gets there, so one of them is gonna have to be on the court at all times. And then we having a new coach, so then you got to add that. You got D'Antoni there. I think D'Antoni left because he didn't want to be with Harden. So now they don't get reunited. I don't know if they bang heads. It's gonna be a mess, but it'll work. But I just don't want it to happen. I'm selling that.
I'm gonna throw in a quick rebuttal here. Is James Harden not an offensive juggernaut?
I mean,
This man can't be stopped.
He can't be checked. That's a fact.
He can't be checked, and it's like I'm willing to give up LeVert. I'm willing to give up Dinwiddie, and maybe two first rounds in the second. But that Jared Allen pick is going to be very, very tough for them because without that, they don't have – DeAndre Jordan is older in his career. He's in his later 30s. I believe he's 35 or turning 35 going into this season. So it's like for a big man, especially a true center who can't really stretch the floor, that's putting a lot of pressure on him down in the paint to defend. And then on the offensive side, that's not even a question.
Yeah.
You have two MVPs, and then you have they're all in their own right offensive greats. You have the best finisher, or in my eyes, the second best skilled player ever, besides Kobe Bryant and Kyrie Irving. Then you have KD, the Tarantula, who can do everything. Then you have James Harden, who man had a 60-point triple-double. I don't see how it can go wrong offensively. To your point, defensively, that's where everything starts to, unfold, and we see the true team that they have over there. AJ, is he still here?
Yeah, no, I'm here.
You're gonna have to edit this because I gotta blow my nose. Bro, I thought this like it's not running. I'm like, all right, Andre, tell him to shut up.
We'll be back with it.
Yes, sir. Big Bullin.
My bad, Dave ran to the kitchen. He said, time out.
I had to change up the splicky with the iffy.
My man's relocated real quick. Let us know when you're ready, Nate.
I'm ready when y'all ready.
All right, you guys ready to jump back into it?
Yeah.
Yeah, straight.
All right. So we're gonna get into the second question. Here we go. All right. So with another buy or sell, I want to kind of go back into time a little bit. And you guys tell me if this is Gatorade or water. Should Paul Pierce have gotten a Kobe Bryant-esque farewell tour, or can we say that?
I'll go first, or
Yeah, it's on you, Brian.
he should have gotten it if he was on the Celtics, but I don't think he should have gotten it because he was on the Clippers. He went to the Nets. I mean, the Nets after, then he went to the Wizards. Then he went to the Clippers, where he didn't even touch the floor at all. So I'm with Draymond on this one. I think he was trying to chase one, but he wasn't gonna get it. He deserved one if he was in Boston because you know how they treat Paul Pierce in Boston, but he didn't deserve one.
True. We're gonna go over to Nate.
Yeah, I don't know what we really truly expect or what we're thinking. I mean, Paul Pierce, don't get me wrong. I mean, he's a top, 20 small forward ever, more or less. Top 25 if we're being, top 20 if I'm being generous, top 25 if I'm being truly realistic. But I mean, what did he do the last half of his career? I mean, the Celtics were pretty much abysmal the entire time he was there, up until the point they made that trade in 2008 to get a big three going, right? To create the super teams. He only has one championship to show for. I mean, he made big shots down there in Washington. That was cool. They did nothing in Brooklyn with high expectations. So really, I mean, he's not nearly on the Kobe Bryant stratosphere as far as impact on the game. And more or less, I mean, like I said, I mean, unless you're going to put him in your top 10 all time, then fair enough. But and if anything, he should have got just a celebration like he did back in Boston, and we call it a day, So that's my personal opinion on it. Okay,
we're gonna go over to Greg.
Yeah, I don't think he should have got it. He was good for what he was. He was great for the Celtics. He did what he did. Like you said, he only got one ring to show for it. So, he didn't make the impact. So like you don't hear kids going around until he retired talking about his name, like something like that, regardless of, his passing. But, people were talking about Kobe up until his last game, even after his last game, even after that. So he did what he did. It's not to go unnoticed. It's not to go, he just was there. No, he made an impact with the Celtics. And I think that's, if anything, what he needs to be recognized for.
Okay, then we're gonna go to Kyrie.
They don't love you like that, man. Nah, for real though. Like, I agree with all you guys, man. I wish he had retired in Boston. You know what I wish he had done was what D Wade did. Going to Cleveland or going to Chicago, then going to Cleveland. Then coming back home to finish things out. Make it right. And I think that was the best move because, I mean, most of us forget what he did in Chicago and Cleveland, right? But we all think about how he finished out in Miami. So that was the perfect move. And even and especially when it comes to someone like Truth, man, like, yeah, he was obviously a great 10-time All-Star, all that. But I think he's like one of those people that almost overrates himself, but he's got an underrated career when you really think about it. Like, if you didn't think about like who he was and how he talked about stuff and how he tried to carry himself, like, you would probably see his career and be like, damn, he probably should get more love. But he demands that. He doesn't command that. So I think that's the big problem with him. And I mean, I even just think about like the way Shaq went out. I mean, Shaq was a rotational, journeyman towards the end of his career. And Shaq's peaks were way higher than Paul Pierce. So if Shaq didn't get that type of love, what makes Paul Pierce think he should get that type of love?
I like it. I just think it was funny. I'm not gonna lie. That one that had me laughing for about a day or two because Draymond didn't want to do it to him. He didn't want to embarrass him. Well, but at the end of the day, facts are facts. Right. They don't love you like that.
Yeah,
they don't love you like that. All right, so that's gonna do it for Gatorade of Water. Bad news is 2 people got to get eliminated. And then there was 2. So with the most points, surprisingly, and there's no offense, Kyrie did have the most points, surprisingly. So he's gonna get that. And and then the next one is a tough one because we got the champion of the last episode with a tie with Nate. The only reason I gotta give Nate the edge is because he hit me with a little bit of facts. He gave me a little, he gave me a little bit of facts. Brian, I thought, hey, it's Giants love. I got you, baby.
I feel you.
I thought
He
you
had
could
the
give me a
stats.
little bit more, man. I thought you
He
could
got
give me a
the
little
stats.
bit more.
He got the stats. He got the stats.
Hey, Greg, you
You're,
had me with the baseball. I was like, yeah,
bro,
Greg rolling.
that's my passion.
And then you kind of poo-pooed on Paul Pierce a little bit. And I was like, oh,
Look,
that was a harsh no.
I don't watch no basketball. I don't watch no basketball. So I was talking out of my neck with that one.
Yeah, that was a harsh no. But hey, going into that Gatorade Award round, I do appreciate you guys, Greg and Brian. But Coach, come sit their ass down.
We got to send the ass to the
Let's go.
bench.
Send their ass to the bench. All right. So Kyrie, Nate, I'm liking it. Let's see who can go into overtime and take this win. So basically our showdown is gonna be between you two guys. Now I do have a couple of quick round, I guess we can call it. It's gonna be right off the top.
Need to start on my phone.
As far as listen, yeah, that fucked me up, bro.
Yeah, I was like, bro, wait a minute.
I'm about to say, Nate, your voice changed.
Hey, you
I'm
guys are funny.
I was sent it over. AJ, your mic is on?
Yeah, I'm here.
All
Yo,
right.
Kyrie's feast, yo.
I was like, what the hell?
No,
I'm asleep. I'm asleep, bro.
All right. All right, so I'm gonna start that over. Boom, here we go. All right, so overtime. We have Nate and Kyrie as our two finalists going head to head. Let's see who can take the house, man. Let's see. So my first quick answer for you guys, or quick question for you guys is, do we believe in the Miami Heat? With that, I'm gonna have Kyrie go first.
Do we believe in the Miami Heat? I do. I definitely do. I love the young core. You got Boy Wonder down there. You got Jimmy Buckets down there. Bam is doing his thing. The way I really like this team too is because they're just constructed so well. Like, Dragic doing his thing at point, having Jay Crowder come off the bench, and they didn't even give Myers Leonard the amount of minutes he probably deserved and things like that. So they got a real deep roster, and obviously they didn't get it done in the finals, but you got to also look at Dragic getting hurt, Bam getting hurt as well. And I mean, we saw how competitive the finals got once those two guys came back into it. Dragic obviously much later than Bam, but I think they should be feared in the Eastern Conference for years to come, but they got to make some more moves if they want to get back to the top.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to agree. I think that Miami is, they're built correctly. I think, from the top to bottom, ownership, Mickey Arison down to Pat Riley, just running the team, and Eric Spoelstra. I mean, they're lockstep 1-1, right? In all major sports, as long as you have continuity with your GM and your head coach, and all that should go up to the owner. But I think the sky's the limit. They drafted well. Especially, getting Tyler Hero, which Hero, as they call him, he might have been the steal of the draft, arguably, just as far as his versatility, seeing, the explosiveness that he has, especially from the three-point lane. He needs to improve defensively, but that's coming. Finding a, underrated gem like Kendrick Nunn, I think that's invaluable. Getting the most out of Goran Dragic. And let's not forget here, the guy that, people have been sleeping on, Jimmy Butler. He's creeped his way into being a top 11 player, maybe top 12 player, just straight off his performance this past season. Taking his team, willing his team the entire year, beating a Bucks team that was supposed to be, the finals pick. Most people had them winning the finals, and just attacking LeBron and them, although they lost in 5. 6 in the relative scale, but still the effort that he played, the 40-point game in the finals, triple dub in that, never, on the list of the greats. It's, they're there, and they have the cap room, and they're ready for 2021. So we'll see if they can get another star in there.
Okay. Now with this question, I'm gonna mix it up. We're gonna have fun with this question. If you take a celebrity to start your basketball team with, do you take Master P or do you take Quavo? Nate, you first.
All right. So if I can pick, that's hard. It's hard.
Rap snacks. You got barbecue. You got Little Romeo's.
It's true.
Then you got a dab of ranch.
I like the dab of ranch though. I definitely do. I definitely like the dab of ranch. So I'll probably have to take the dab of ranch though. Just like I said, ranch is one of my favorite dipping sauces out. And we were all hitting the dab for a while. that was a hot thing. So I'll go ahead and take those.
Hey, Quavo does have that cultural influence, so
He does.
Kyrie, on you?
That's facts, though. Man, this is a tough one because if we talking about starting a team right now, today, November 2020, Quavo, obviously, because he's younger and all that stuff. But, like, if you really think about it, Master P played in the league for a little bit, like, actually. And then you got to think, too, once he's done being a player, he might even be able to switch over to the executive role because he did that with No Limit. So, I don't know, man. It's a tough one. I feel like Master P would want to give Romeo a little shot, a little deal too. He used to ball too. And I mean, if Quavo's trying to give Takeoff and Offset a contract, get them on the team, I don't know if they can hoop like that. So might have to go with Master P for sure.
All right. I mean, but still though, Master P, he ain't what he used to be. Quavo's proved time and time again. I don't know. Just want to let you know, I think he can be able to do his thing, running a team. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, he got a little point there, Curry. He got a little point.
Man, that's what like I said, if we talking about starting a team right now as we speak, Quavo, no question. I mean, that's 20 years difference right there. But totality wise, I don't know. Master P in his prime might have had it, bro.
I don't know. Master P's washed.
Washed P.
All right, so I'm gonna give you guys one more. And this one is gonna mess you guys up a little bit. In the 2-on-2 WWE match with Kurt Angle and Triple H versus Rey Mysterio and Jeff Hardy.
Wow.
Who takes it? We got Greg. Look, we got Greg. Look at we got Greg.
I'm gonna take the lead on this one from you, Rhea. I'm gonna have to say, I'm gonna have to go with my guy Rey Mysterio. He's a high flyer. I mean, once he puts you between the turnbuckles and hit you with the 619, I mean, it's probably over for real. Although Kurt Angle's, ankle lock was deadly, ain't gonna fade on that. But I would go with the smaller, more elusive guy. In that tag team matchup as the key factor.
Okay,
all right. I'm gonna answer this, but hold on a second, y'all. I gotta get right first. So
to bring the props out.
So I mean,
Triple H on them.
Fact, had to bring the belt out. Champ is here. You already know. But I mean, honestly, hey, what do they say in boxing? Styles make fights, right? We got two high flyers versus two technical wrestlers. And I think the thing with Triple H and Kurt Angle is they both got a little edge to them. They got a little, dirtiness to them. Both of them been heels and all that. So just knowing how wrestling works, I think Rey Mysterio and Jeff Hardy, like being fans of both of them growing up, they was fan favorites, of course. So I'd love to see them, go up against two great guys like Triple H and Kurt Angle. But I think at the end of the day, them two GOATs, Triple H, Kurt Angle, they would get it done. It would be a lot of people be booing, a lot of people will be sick, but that's what they do in wrestling. They want us to be mad. They don't want you to be happy. So
They don't want you to be. I'm just kind of more mad that I don't have a championship belt at my disposal. So like,
man, you should have.
just
Man,
ran.
I had to do it to him. You feel me? Like I just had to.
Hit him with an
Why?
Aaron Rodgers real quick. You gotta hit him with an
Hold
Aaron
on.
Rodgers.
Hey, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed, but
Yes,
I like
sir.
like that.
All right, guys. Hey, coach. You think we should put him back in the game?
Yeah. We should put him back in the game. Yeah.
All right. Let's Greg, sub back in, Greg. Hey, Brian, sub back in, baby.
Bro,
Man, all I gotta say is that match is gonna be like 2 hours long because Kurt Angle and Triple H ain't never give up. 2 counts, tapping out all the
wait.
Tough chin, tough chin.
I'm taking Rey Mysterio and Jeff 8 times out of 10.
Listen, like,
Every
who do I want to win?
this,
Jeff Hardy and Rey Mysterio.
first
So
of
who
all,
who
I
do I think will win?
had longer in a match than Jeff Hardy has out of those 4 people. Nobody. That man was ladder matches, chair matches, and all Money in the Banks. His Jones with Christian, Matt, Edge, all of that. No one can match his charisma. Only Kurt. Kurt possibly, but Kurt, Rey Mysterio take care of him easy.
Bro, now I did see Jeff Hardy pull up to a match lit too, so
yeah.
I don't know.
He did.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That was
indeed.
you know what I'm saying? But everybody had it. Okay?
True indeed.
Now,
All right, guys.
Man.
All right, guys. With that, I'm gonna have to narrow this down. With this, we actually have 2 Greenhouse members going up against each other. So glad to say the belt is staying in the house. The belt is staying in the house. The belt is staying in the house.
Nate. They did you dirty, Nate.
Hey Nate, if you would have had maybe a Rey Mysterio mask, if you would have, reenacted a 619 real quick off the microwave.
I knew I lost once you bring the belt out. I just knew I was done once the belt came out.
Yes, sir.
Rey Mysterio's winning that. Whenever he could beat Big Show and Great Khali,
He's undefeated for that. He's the GOAT.
Come on, bro. Come on.
All right, guys. So we're gonna give Kyrie his time to give a shout out to whatever he has going on. So everybody hit the bench besides Kyrie. Let me talk to you, Kyrie.
Let me put this on. What's up?
Now, for this is your first time, so get your shout out in.
Hey man, first off, gotta shout out all my boys in the port. Shout out K Mitch, shout out Mo, shout out Steve, shout out Bray, all my guys. But yo, I really gotta shout out. I know you guys talked a little bit about it the other day when I was talking about UB football playing tonight. My boys used to play there briefly, but now they're looking to go 3-0 tonight. So just hope they do their thing. And one thing I did want to point out too is they started a diversity and inclusion task force, not just the football team, but UB's athletic program overall. So shout out to them for doing that. Shout out to Mr. Allnut, the AD over there. So hey man, had to show love, Champ is here though, so it's that time.
That's dope. Well, with that being said, guys, this was another episode of At the Buzzer. Hey, who gonna take the house, man? Who gonna take the house? Let us know. At the Greenhouse Post Sports on Instagram, at the Greenhouse Po on Instagram as well. It is Greenhouse Tuesday, so you know what you expect.
Tuesday.
I'm coming back.
Greenhouse episode out today.
Yes,
Go listen
sir.
to that. Go listen. Well, guys, thank you, Brian, Nate, Greg, Kyrie. Thank you guys for coming through this week and showing out. Appreciate you guys. With that being said, I'm signing out, baby.
Peace out.
Peace.